Well, hey, good morning. Nice to see you. I'm taking off the regular glasses, putting on the reading glasses, because this morning, why don't we do a little bit of reading? I'll be reading from chapter 3, or I'll be reading chapter 3 of my book, Climbing Maya, which is available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook from Audible, iTunes, Amazon, and so many other places. Hope you pick yourself up a copy if you like what you hear, and I hope you like what you hear. So let's keep going, huh? Chapter 3. Let's just see how long this is. That's a little bit lengthy. Let's try and get through this. Okay. What is success? It is everything. From childhood, we in the West are asked what we want to be when we grow up. We're taught to lay out plans and goals, to work hard and strive for achievement. We are set on the road of life and told where to go, but no one ever bothers to tell us what's at the end, let alone offer a map to show us how to get there. Success is such an enormity that within seconds of my train of thought steaming up to leave the station, I wanted to jump tracks. Everything you do in life touches this concept, this magnifying glass. Did I successfully make breakfast this morning? Did I get to work on time? Did I obey the speed limits or successfully break them without getting caught? Am I a success in my social life? A social butterfly or a wallflower? What about work, home, religion, civic duty? It's like those Chinese noodles that blow up many times their size when exposed to water. Success doesn't cotton to scrutiny. It is evasive in cloak and fedora. Like trying to find my blind spot, it bobs and weaves out of sight. I was looking again at the drivers beside me, and under the uber-categorical monster that was success, all seemed to hide behind a cataract. That's what it says, behind a cataract. It says right there. You think I make these things up? You might have a point. Do you consider yourself successful? We were heading north on Euclid. Sean was again driving us to lunch. When I'd arrived, Sean was making Megan's lunch, a little soup and some juice. Nothing really. You could see the frustration in the way he paced among the groceries he'd bought especially for her. Hear it in his voice as he listed one item after another. Would you like some of, or how about a little, But Megan was unsure how much she wanted, and she did it all without talking much. She couldn't talk much. She was hunched over herself, sitting on the sofa, coughing in her low, tentative coughs. An oxygen tube led from a machine across and around the house to Megan, helping her to breathe, while she coughed and coughed, speaking with a shake of her head or a wave of her hand. She was dying right in front of us, and Sean did his best to behave as if nothing was wrong. What good would focusing on her sickness do? They knew what was going on and where they were. They were trying to live what was left of their lives together. And I stood on the sidelines, impotent. I felt like an intruder. But Sean needed me for escape, if just for a while, so he could return to the real world for a while. I was his excuse, and it was the least I could do. He wasn't much in the mood for talking. He just drove out of the mobile home park and asked a terse, "What do you want to eat?" "I don't know. What do you have coupons for?" "I don't think I have any." "Well, we can't go anyplace too expensive," I reminded him. "I don't have a job." "Listen," he bit off. "I know you're broke. I understand that. So for the duration, let's just assume I'm paying. It's my treat, okay?" Sean and Megan were not independently wealthy. They weren't rich. They benefited from the sale of their first home before they moved into the mobile home park. It had been necessary after Megan was diagnosed with leukemia, and it looked like she wouldn't be returning to work. They had the proceeds from the house, plus some stocks they were slowly cashing in. Sean wouldn't have been able to quit working to take care of her otherwise. They weren't rolling in cash, though, and I knew it. Still, I wanted lunch. We decided on a local Mexican restaurant, and he drove in silence. That was fine with me because after my epiphanous commute, I had plenty to talk about. And Sean listened. Normally, he wouldn't. He'd comment on something he saw on television or on people we drove by, especially women. His silence was unusual, so I kept going. I told him about my commute and my dilemma with success. I wondered if other people question themselves about success as much as I do. There was only one person that came to mind. Tim. Tim and I had known each other since high school, and unlike Sean, we'd been friends back then. Members of a mutual admiration society, I marveled at his writing, and he idolized my acting. And since we were both writers and actors, we could switch off and alternately admire the other's writing and acting. I was sure, though, that I'd be the more successful actor, and he would excel in his future as a writer. Got that one right. But that's not what happened. Tim went to San Francisco, where he became a male model, acted in a movie, reported for a local television station, wrote for a newspaper, and then stopped. I wish I could tell you why. It's something I've wondered myself. In fact, recently, he stopped caring for his physical appearance. Now, for an ex-actor who settled into the corporate world of technical and marketing writing like myself, being overweight isn't a hazard. Call it a cliche, but I'm married now. But Tim was always more vain about his body, and I'm sure that helped in his career before the camera. So not only did he write off his successes, he was writing off any chance of having them again. Tim worked in a veterinary office by day, and at night, he drank. Tim didn't drive in a case of extremely arrested development, so there was no risk of him being behind the wheel of a car. Maybe this knowledge emboldened him in his alcoholism. Why do I suggest he questions himself about success? It's not just the drinking, but the person he becomes when he drinks. Obsessive, obtrusive, downright angry. I don't like the guy he turns into. I've even stopped drinking around him, and that's saying something. I can drink. This Jekyll Hyde quality shows how much force he uses to hold back his regret, and I guess how much he needs to let it out. So, I'm living with mine. Tim's shoving his down his gullet with a vodka chaser. And Sean? I guess I wouldn't call myself a success, Sean said. I mean, I haven't really done anything with my life. Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel the same way. But you've tried. That brought the conversation to a crashing halt, and he took a turn on Orangethorpe Avenue. What's that mean? I asked. Well, it's one thing to try and fail. That's all I'm saying. But I still failed. It's not like I'm half rich or half famous or I have half peace of mind. No, but you also don't have to. I never really found the thing I was supposed to do. Maybe I didn't either. We pulled into the parking lot of a hot dog place, cheap and disgusting. It wasn't the Mexican restaurant, but I let that go. Over the chili dogs, I asked him, "What about Megan? For 6 years, you've been doing right by her, taking care of her. Doesn't that give you a feeling of success?" I'm just doing what anyone would do in my situation. It was a flat denial, bulletproof. I'd heard him use it many times. And it really bugged me. I don't know, I've never seen anyone do what you've done. I don't think I could have done what you've done. At the mobile home park, he said through a mouthful of chili, I know quite a few people caring for their spouses. It's very common. So, I shut up and drank my coffee like a good boy. If I was going to consider myself a success at anything, it was a prelude for a moment of thought. Maybe he'd said it without having figured it out. He chewed slowly, swallowed. I guess it would be Alyssa and Brianna. Those were his goddaughters. I think I've done a pretty good job teaching them about life and looking out for them. I mean, if you can call that a success. So you aren't even going to qualify that? How do you know how much kids listen? So you won't take credit for that either? But he didn't have an answer. Then he dodged the issue for the rest of the day. And there you have it. Tim and I were scrambling for success while Sean did all he could do to scrub it off. He wanted success. We all wanted success. But none of us saw it. Maybe we didn't know what it was. We need to talk, I said to Vicky before she even had a chance to come home from work. I called her from the freeway on my way back from Sean's. Now? Not now, but tonight, after you get home. It's important. Okay, she said, brushing it off her back and into the night. She came home, settled in, and made dinner. And as we ate, I mulled over what I was going to say. I'd been thinking about it all day, running it through my head, testing it. Stretching, pulling, and poking at the words, looking for holes. It was going to be the wrong thing to say after losing my job. Of this, I was fairly certain. And worse, I couldn't say it. I felt so uncomfortable in my unemployment. I was afraid to be bold. So the night went on until Vicky put on her bedclothes and covered herself up in the bed. I was pacing like a caged animal. She asked, "Give me a kiss goodnight?" I did. "I thought you were going to talk to me about something." "I was," I told her. Her eyes widened with expectation. It was the time I had to force it out. I realize that right now I need to focus my efforts on finding a job. I know that. And I'm going to work on that. I already have. And I'm going to give it my all, too. I know, honey, she said to me. Her assurance stopped me cold. I stopped my pacing and looked at her. I know, I know. Then I returned to my pacing. The thing is, I feel like I should use my spare time. I won't have a lot, but I'll have a little, and I want to put that to use. I'm thinking I could use my spare time and maybe start on a new book. The words came out slow, like an admission of guilt. Sure, she encouraged. That sounds like a great idea. Do you know what it'll be about? This was back when I didn't know what I would write 3 books ahead or 2 books ahead. I was writing just for that next book. I looked at her. Boy, did I. See, here's the thing. I'm thinking it should be something very marketable. Something very easy to read, not challenging at all, like some romance or horror or both or something. Okay, she told me. Then I sidled up to the edge of the bed and I took her hands. My hands were always hot on hers, but now they must have burned. My blood was pounding. Okay, I responded. But that's not the book I want to write. Well, what's the book you want to write? Now I put her hand down and rose from the bed. Though our condominium was small, the master bedroom is large. I like that because it gives me room to move, and I needed room to move. I moved to the other side of the room and looked at her in the dark. One that probably no one will ever want to read. She was silent. What do you think? I asked her, while in my mind I was congratulating myself. Way to sell that! I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean by that? I'm no writer. It doesn't make sense. How do you know nobody will read it? I know. How do you know? I know. What's it about? Success. Silence. An expected result. Every time I imagined the book on the shelf in a bookstore, that's the same response I projected. Yes, for this book. Sometimes you write books and you know they're gonna fuck up, but you know you gotta. You know it's important, and that's all that matters. What about success? What do you mean? What about success? What kind of story? No story. Just success. I don't get it. Well, that's just it. I don't think anyone will. But think about it, hon. We go through our lives expecting to be successful, or having people tell us we should be successful, trying to be successful, working our asses off to be successful. And in the end, I don't even comprehend what that means. Sean doesn't know what that means. Tim's too drunk to know what that means. Do you know what that means? I don't even know what you're talking about. Exactly. No, she said, sitting up. What I mean is, I don't know how you plan to write a book about this. If you plan to write a book on how to be a success, no, I told her. It's not how. I thought for a moment. It's not even why. I mean, it's not about how to be a success or why people are successful. I can't explain it. And I believed I could. I spent my whole day thinking about this. Anyone can say they have the answer and charge you hundreds of dollars on books and seminars on how to become a success. I mean, that's a good way to become a success, you know? She smiled, an odd smile. But that's not what you're writing about. No, I said. Then I found the word. What? What is success? What is success? Yes, that's what the book will be about. You're going to tell people how to be successful. No, not how, what. You're going to tell people what success is? She was dubious. Right, that's what I want to write about. Honey, everybody knows what success is. Okay, what is it? Well, it depends on the person. Such as, it could be many things, she listed. It could be having a lot of money. It could be having a big family. It could be having a nice home. So success means having things. It could be more than that. It could be reaching some state of enlightenment or driving cross country. Right, I answered. I see. Vicky had known me a while, though. She didn't believe me. Maybe I'm just not getting what you want to write about. I looked at her. What's a ball? Excuse me? Define a ball for me. Why? Well, a ball could be a lot of things, right? It could be something used in basketball or football. It could be a place where well-dressed people gather to dance. She interrupted my stream of thought. What's your point? That's just it. A ball can be different things, but that's not what it is. Success can be a lot of things. I want to know what success is. And that's going to be your book? Yes, but I can't imagine anyone buying it. That's the thing. That's why I wanted to run it by you first. Because we need the money, and I should do something that's going to make money. And I stopped as though I'd run out of steam. She took my hand. But your heart wouldn't be in it. This is what you want to write about. For a moment, she played with my fingers. Go ahead, she decided. Anyone can write a romantic horror novel. So, I left the room and let her sleep. The final judgment on that decision is still out. Real quick before I let you go, the romantic horror novel became where am I? Do I have room here? Wherever I got room on the screen, became a novel about a communicable disease that turns the blood, that changes you into a sex addict and slowly turns you into a zombie. So that became Worm Food Island. It became a novel called Worm Food, which became Worm Food Island, which was supposed to be the first book in a series that we haven't seen the second book on yet. We may never. It's sold okay. It's got a few sales, and it's a fun, crazy, intense horror zombie. Just the most disgusting book. If you're into that, check it out. I wrote that sometime later, and I wrote this first. I didn't believe that people would find value in an investigation into what success was. Fortunately, I found a great deal of value in it, and it helped me write my next book, my next philosophical book, which was Dynamic Pluralism, of which I am very proud. So that's that. Fortunately, it all worked out. Judgment that was left to the future turned out to have been a good one. So that's it for Climbing Maya today. Tomorrow we will read chapter 4, maybe chapter 5 of Climbing Maya as well. So I hope you join me tomorrow. In the meantime, have a great day. I'll see you on Tuesday. And there you have it. You've just survived another Ken LaSalle video. For more information about new releases, projects in the works, or even stuff from the archives, head on down to kenlasalle.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and all around social media, just as long as it's called Facebook or Twitter. Thanks for your support, as always. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll be back soon with more nonsense.